Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube channel and our 59th coffee stream. And today is a very special coffee stream because it is the debut of the coffee stream with a co-host. And our co-host is none other than Skep Talk. Say hi, Skep Talk.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me on Blind. It's an honor. You know, you're my friend, and it's very kind of you to want to have somebody on with you to kind of share the experience of the coffee stream. I was looking back to my very first experience with the coffee stream, which was coffee stream number 1, 58 coffee streams ago. And I looked through the comments section, and I made like 99% of the comments. I was excited about what you were doing because ever since I was a kid, I always thought it was kind of cool that they had these shows on television where, like the Today Show and Good Morning America, where people sat around the coffee table and they came into your home and they talked about what was going on in the world, what was going on in their lives, and people were interested in that. And that phenomenon interested me. I thought, why are we interested in what these people have to say? I can honestly tell you that's kind of a lifelong fascination. When I was growing up, and by the way, I realize I'm kind of hijacking the conversation this morning, but there's so much that I want to say. It's just competing to come out my mouth hole. And I do want it to be a conversation, not a monologue. But I did want to give people a little bit of a background as to why I had an interest in this and why I basically have been begging like a little kid with my nose pressed up against the window. Please let me come in and play. Please let me come in and play. My says, okay. You can come in and play. Just shut up. Leave me alone. And invites me in graciously and kindly to be a part of this. Growing up in Belgium in 1959 to 1964, there was no TV for Americans. Okay, you could turn on TV and you would see Bonanza dubbed in German. So you would see Haas say something like "Das ist Avocado, Little Joe," and you just kind of it didn't do it for anybody. It was bad on a number of levels, and the Flemish and French TV that was constituted their normal programming was just awful. This led me to the devastatingly bad habit of reading books. And so for 5 years, and I had good reading skills. My parents made sure that I could read and read well by the time I was 4 years old.
Yeah.
I was reading like at a 5th grade level when I was 4, seriously. I don't claim genius level in much of anything, but I was really good at reading.
I was the same way.
Yeah. And in fact, you and I have discussed the fact, our love of reading and our appreciation for, the verbal stuff, verbal communication. Yeah. And I think that's one of the reasons we get on so well is that we both have a facility in that. And so we come back to the United States, and there's this thing called television, and meanwhile, I have read about 2/3 of the way through the entire Encyclopedia Britannica.
Oh, wow.
In the previous 5 years. And I mean, we had the full 26-volume set of Encyclopedia Britannica. We really had the whole thing. And I still have that, by the way, in my office.
Oh, wow.
So at any rate, I had a whole bunch of information darting around my little 6th grade mind when I came back to or 7th grade mind when I came back to the United States. And all of a sudden I'm exposed to television. and these people are speaking in English and they're talking about interesting things.
Yeah.
I was absolutely fascinated by that. And did you have something of a similar thing happen? Were you interested in TV when you were young?
Um, I was interested in some TV. Like it was really cool to me that we have a TV station called Global up here,
Uh-huh.
and they used to, I don't know if they still do, but they used to have a radio frequency as well.
Yeah.
So mostly at my dad's house, because I had this old ghetto blaster that had a radio on it.
Ghetto blaster.
Yeah.
Haven't heard that in a while.
For those of you who are below the age of 30, a ghetto blaster is a device that you used to put things called cassette tapes into.
The disco suitcase.
Yes. And I would listen to Global on the radio, especially like the Saturday morning cartoons and stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought that was just the coolest thing, that here was a TV station that was broadcasting over the radio, so even people who could see, if they were listening to it, they had to basically watch TV the way I did.
Right. And watching TV the way that you did, you had, people think, well, for a blind person, there's no difference between TV and radio, but that's not really true, is it?
No, it's not.
Because you don't pick up the nonverbal or non-sonic cues on TV. And on radio, people who broadcast on radio are trained to give more full descriptions of things.
Yeah.
So I would think that that would seem to frustrate me. That would seem, I'm sorry, what I mean to say is that would seem frustrating to me.
Well, now that I've been exposed to good described video,
Uh-huh.
if I'm watching a show that doesn't have it, I do get frustrated. Because it's like, oh, damn, this would be so much better if it was described.
Now, describe video. There are probably a lot of people don't know what that is. Do you want to explain quickly what that is?
So described video is basically when they're producing a TV show, if they've decided that they're going to make it with described video, or they'll go back and do this to old TV shows as well. What they'll do is they'll record a track of somebody who's got a script. Like they will actually write a script out for the person, so that they will be describing and basically reading exactly what is described. Like people will choose, I guess, what is described and what is not, so that they can write it down for the narrator. And this narrator will read the script, and it will be recorded and then edited on over the TV show. So it will come the descriptions will be placed in between the dialogue at the appropriate times in the scene.
So are there little breaks in the dialogue and then you hear the description of the scene come in when there's no sound from the dialogue kind of thing? Or?
Yeah, there's they'll put it in natural breaks in the dialogue, because there's natural breaks in dialogues for actors to do things.
Sure.
Right? And while they're doing those things, that's when the description is going on. And it will be describing, say someone's finishing talking to someone and they walk over to a window.
Yeah.
That's going to be described.
Okay. All right. So
so-and-so walks to the window and looks out.
Yeah.
So that you now know that they're not looking at the person they're speaking to, they're looking out the window.
Very good. Good to know. And so there's more and more of that available. Is that what you were saying?
Yes, there's a lot more of that available, so that when you don't have it, it's noticeable. And you're like, gee, I really wish this was described, because not every blind person is lucky enough to have somebody who's A, good at describing things, and B, willing to describe them.
Yeah.
I lucked out with Pincalo. He is really good at describing what's going on screen, and he likes doing it. There are a lot of people who find it annoying um, to listen to people describing to blind people. Like, I actually had I'm not friends with this.
Has anyone ever said that to you?
Yes,
That they were annoyed by Pincalo describing stuff?
yes.
Are you joking?
I actually had. I'm not friends with this person anymore. Actually, none of our group of friends is friends with this person anymore. But we were all sitting together, and we were talking about watching a movie. I can't remember what it was, but I had never seen it before, and the rest of our group had, and they were all saying, "Oh, you should really watch it." Um, and the one girl pipes up and goes, "Well, except I really don't want to watch it with her because you guys are going to have to describe it to her, and that's going to be really annoying."
Really?
And everyone just kind of turned to her and was like, "Say what?"
That has to be a joke, right? I mean that would be what my reaction is that's a poorly crafted joke.
Well, and the irony of ironies was she had been told by several doctors that she has degenerative vision issues and that she will be blind by the time she's 40.
Oh no.
And she would ask me, she'd be like, "I need to pick your brain about what's going on, like, and how to cope and blah blah blah." And then she would come out with and then she came out with that.
Okay, did
And
you say step one is don't alienate your friends?
well, the whole group, me included, we all just kind of launched in on her, like, are you serious right now? You don't want to watch a movie because you're gonna have to listen to it being described to the blind person? Go fuck yourself.
Truly. With malice. Oh my God. I I'm at a loss for words. That doesn't happen much. My God. How that's just gross.
Is it cruel to tell a blind person that they should really watch this? No. No, Attic Rat, it's not. I've said it to blind people.
But that's this is interesting. The blind person is better at reading chat than I am because I can't figure out which browser has what the fuck now. Okay, so I'm going to tell my browser story.
Oh, yes.
It's
And then
time
I'm
for
going
the
to
browser.
answer Jesse's question.
Oh, go ahead. Answer.
Oh, Jesse says, are audiobooks good for blind people to read? It depends on the blind person because there are blind people like me who are, get this, visual learners, which means they would prefer to read it in Braille because to them that's visually reading something. Reading it with your fingers and tactile, like feeling it, that's the equivalent of seeing it with your eyes. So for me, if I'm going to be reading something to retain it, I need to read it in Braille. If I'm going to listen to something, if I'm going to read something for entertainment purposes, I'll have an audiobook.
Mm. So you don't retain as well from audiobooks?
No.
I
have to listen to it. I have to listen to it many times.
I'll tell you, with me and audiobooks, I get almost nothing out of them because I forget to listen. And then I have to go back and I have to listen over again. And for whatever reason, they just do not hold my attention. I have to read stuff. If I was dependent on audiobooks, I would have to learn the discipline of actually listening to everything that comes out because I'm just not wired that way.
Well, my mother actually I had a different ocularist, the people that make my eyes,
Yes.
when I was younger. And we switched to the people that do my eyes now because the gentleman, and I use that term very loosely, told my mother that she didn't need to have me learn Braille because there were audiobooks now.
Brilliant. Idiot.
And my mother was like, "Are you seriously telling me that I can let my blind daughter be illiterate because there are audiobooks?
Yeah.
You can fuck off now."
Yeah. Thanks for your advice. I'll call you if I need any
Yeah.
else. You're on speed dial. Oh my God. So anyway, this morning, so I'm getting all excited about, joining Blind Press on the coffee stream. And I'm happily puttering around, getting ready. I've got the ukulele out, poised for action. I'm going through, and I open another window on Chrome, and nothing happens. And I go, I look down, look at my wireless, and I go through some natural troubleshooting things. I've 30 years as a IT, systems engineer. I know what I'm doing. Nothing. I get nothing from Chrome. And essentially what happened was a file got stepped on. The file got corrupted. There are files that are read out and then rewritten back with more current information. And it doesn't happen very often, but every once in a while you get a bad piece of data in there and it will corrupt the file. And that happened this morning, 5 minutes before we go on stream.
No, of course it did.
So I'm trying to get Chrome to do anything. I'm even trying to reinstall it. Won't reinstall. And I just go, okay, all right. It's probably some cached information. Boot would help, but I don't have time to boot. So I go into Microsoft Edge. It's not a problem. I go into Hangouts. There's the Hangout from Blind Press, and I'll click on the Hangout, and I'll go right in. Wrong. It doesn't work with Edge. Hangouts doesn't work with Edge.
God.
It works with the Internet Explorer or Chrome. Those are your choices, okay, in the Windows world. And I'm like, really? And so, I tried to make it work with Firefox. It wouldn't work with Firefox. So I install Internet Explorer. I mean, as fast as it can humanly be installed. I'm really good at installing software, and so I get it installed in like 20 seconds. Seriously, wow. like 20 seconds. Like that it installs really fast. There's a lot of reasons for that. And so I get it up, I'm running, and then I have to start the login process. I have to log into Google. I have to log into Twitter. I have to log into all this other crap, all the different passwords. And it's just getting more and more frustrated. And finally it says, you don't have the plugin.
Oh, God.
I don't have the, at this point, I'm like Linda Blair voice. I don't have the motherfucking plugin. And so, I load the plugin, I get the plugin installed, get it running. It says, now log in again. Of course that's what I want to do. And so I logged in and finally got it. And so, ladies and gentlemen, if we were 4 minutes late this morning because something that just really doesn't happen to me very much, a piece of software created, Chrome created. Since then, I have actually reinstalled Chrome, and it is now working. So I'm back up and running, except I have to reconstruct all my shortcuts. Unfortunately, they got stepped on too. But anyway, we go on. It's first world problem. This isn't guys trying to gun me down in the middle of town because I have Western clothes on. So, it's not like living in Mali or Somalia. But it's why it's why the stream was late this morning. Why I was late to my very first stream as a co-host with Blind Press. But that said, now that we've had the chit chat part, I figured that my rough form of an outline for the show, if I just and I have not talked with Blind Press about this, ladies and gentlemen, at all. So these are just my own noodlings about it. But I figured we would have a period of like informal chit chat to kind of get the show going. You know, what's going on? How you doing? You know, what's new in your life? You know, how are the kids? Kind of thing. And then we would kind of take a look at the world around us. And there were a couple of notable stories. One with really good Schadenfreude, and everybody likes that. And so I thought we would plunge into that. Does that sound good to you right now?
Yeah, that sounds good. I also sent you a link too that one of my viewers sent me yesterday, and he
On
wanted to
Twitter?
he wanted to know what we both thought about it. So
Let's
we
see.
could do that too after
Absolutely,
our story.
absolutely. Well, so let's go to yours first because you're probably your stuff is a lot more interesting than mine. This is a WordPress futurism gene edited. Oh, this is about gene editing.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's check this out. We've got to check this out. Oh, I love having Chrome back. You know, I may get mad at Chrome, but God, it is by far the best browser, ladies and gentlemen. It just is. You know, I mean, it just is. I hate that it's Google, but it is. No, I don't want to subscribe now. Go away. Ah, no thanks. Okay. Just 5 days ago, it seemed like every pair of eyes in the world was fixed on He Jiankui, the researcher behind the controversial gene editing of a pair of twin babies in China. On Wednesday, he took the stage at the Human Genome Editing Summit at the University of Hong Kong to present his research, the broad strokes of which he leaked to the press a few days prior. Significant backlash from the scientific community followed, and the Chinese government itself soon banned He from continuing his research. Now no one seems to know where he is. I'm thinking he's probably in pieces at the bottom of the trash. Over the weekend, rumors circulated that the president of the Southern University of Science and Technology, his former employer, forced the scientist to return to Shenzhen, China, where the university was now detaining him, pending the execution of him, his family, and his entire village. On Monday, I just added that part because, you know, you got to have a little fun with the news. The South China Morning Post, scamp, those madcap scamps, published a statement from Sustic that fell short of wholly refuting the rumors. So he might actually be detained by his university. Just try that on for a moment.
The fact that a school can detain you is kind of scary.
Well, you can kind of see Berkeley doing that. You know, we're suspecting these people of being conservatives, and we detain them pending their execution.
Yes.
You know, but you know, we're not evil. We execute them humanely. We euthanize them humanely when we find a conservative.
Yes.
Okay, right now nobody's information is accurate. Only the official channels are. A spokesperson told them, blah, blah, blah. We cannot answer any questions regarding the matter right now. But if we have any information, we will update it through our official channels. In other words, we're not going to say anything, and we're scared to death of being killed if we do anything wrong.
Yeah.
He will probably turn up eventually, probably with holes in his head, at which point he likely will need to submit to an investigation from Chinese Ministry of Science and Technology. No, I think he's going to be dead, actually. The results of that investigation could shape the future of human gene editing. If China punishes him severely for his actions, it could deter other scientists from pursuing the ask for forgiveness, not permission route with their own research. Leniency could have the opposite effect. Yeah, I think that's a really superficial reaction to that. I mean, in point of fact, asking forgiveness, not permission, is fine when it's a cure for cancer. When it's something like dealing with some of the moral questions that come up in gene editing.
Yeah, he deleted. What he did was he deleted in one twin both pair of what fucking gene was it? I can't remember what gene it was, but he deleted both pairs or both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And in the other twin, he only deleted one.
Okay.
And he did this while they were embryos. Okay. And he there was, I think, 12 attempts at implantation, like 12 different embryos, and these twins were the only ones I believe that took. But you don't know we don't know what deleting genes will do. We really don't yet.
Well,
Like we
yeah.
don't we've barely started to map the human genome. We don't understand what ramifications deleting a gene will do. Or it was to prove it was AIDS proof. He said these kids were AIDS proof.
Yeah, it says it was. I'm looking at this CRISPR editing stuff
Yeah.
about what he actually did, and he seemed. Let's see. He says it's against Chinese law to disclose the identity of HIV positive people in public. He said, second, for this couple, it's under careful monitoring. I will propose that the data be open and available to experts, and he intends to follow their progress to through adulthood. I'm trying to get the exactly what he did. Yeah. Okay, for the first time, let's see, in a clinical trial that's still largely shrouded in mystery, a group of scientists led by this guy with foreign name, John Key, I guess is what it is, used CRISPR to alter the genome of human embryos. And he said one of the embryos survived and resulted in a successful birth. Let's see. It's not saying.
I think it was the C5 gene.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. It says the decision to try and prevent HIV by altering an embryo is highly controversial one. So, okay. It's I'm trying to find all the stuff on editing. Yeah, it's okay. Like they've been editing the stuff for Marfan syndrome. It's a genetic disorder that affects the body's connective tissue. The disorder can cause issues throughout the body, from heart, the eyes, brain, and it kills a lot of people. Marfan's kills a lot of people.
Yeah.
If a person has Marfan, there's a 50% 50% chance their child will too. But according to a new study published in Molecular Therapy, CRISPR might be able to improve that. And so it works. CRISPR works a lot like a word processor's cut and paste function. The researcher can use the tool to target a specific spot in an organism's genetic code, cut the DNA strands, and either insert a new gene into the gap or let the strands just repair themselves. Unfortunately, past research has shown that these cuts to both strands of DNA can produce unwanted edits and potentially even cause cancer.
Yeah.
So, but the Chinese researchers did not use CRISPR in this typical way. Instead, they tried something called base editing, a technique that scientists have known about since 2016. With base editing, the CRISPR system simply changes one DNA letter to another like adenosine to guanine, A to G. Previous studies have shown that base editing appears to cause fewer unwanted edits than the traditional method, but they weren't sure if it would work on human DNA. And voila. So they decided to test base editing on the mutation that causes Marfan's, because all it should take to correct it is changing the G in the FBN1 gene to a healthy A. So you change the guanine there to adenosine and you fixed that gene. You won't have Marfan.
Mm-hmm.
And making a long story short, it was proof of concept that they were totally able to do that. Do that editing, and for in vitro fertilization, theoretically, they would be able to prevent Marfans by doing that edit on people who were known to have Marfans in their family. So
I mean, I can see that
it's an
it's a
interesting
good.
thing.
I can see why it's. I can see the good applications for it, but
Sure. Can you see some evil?
oh yeah, I can also see some mistakes.
Yeah, the mistakes are horrifying, but the evil could be positively scary.
Oh yeah.
Dealing with some stuff that really begs for a lot of consideration and thought before you do anything, with that.
Blind Girl makes an interesting point. She says nature screws up all the time when evolving.
Oh yeah.
So to say human beings make mistakes, so we shouldn't. Nature isn't always going to get it right either. Now, I wasn't saying that we shouldn't because we might make some mistakes. I'm saying that we should educate ourselves a little bit more before we do things like this.
Right.
I don't think we shouldn't be researching this. I think it could be very helpful. But I think it's kind of dangerous to do an experiment like this before we've completely understood what happens when you delete a gene, even with base editing.
Yeah.
Because not every gene, like genes, yes, genes have specific functions, but it's all tied.
Right.
It's all tied together.
Well, and some of the stuff is just strangely cross-linked.
Yeah, and you don't know what deleting a certain gene will do to those other cross links.
Exactly. You might think, well, I'm going to fix this muscular dystrophy in this child, and you end up causing cancer or making them vulnerable to some kind of illness.
Yeah.
I mean, there's.
So I think we should.
Too much we don't know.
Yeah, I think we should learn about what the genes do, where they link, how they link.
Yeah.
Before we start deleting, editing, adding, moving around.
I find myself thinking about this in a similar way to what I think about climate change. It's a profound and important question.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be explored and understood thoroughly, and we don't now. Okay, this is where the argument starts with the climate change folks, because they say, "Oh yes, we do. We know everything we need to know."
No.
Stop using gas and oil right now, and the argument degenerates from there.
Those people have never gone and looked at frickin' rock layers.
Yeah, that's for real. But this is definitely something where there's a potential for a lot of misery, thinking we have, a great medical advance. You're probably not old enough to know about or to have had firsthand experience much with thalidomide.
No, but I heard about thalidomide. My grandmother, before I didn't actually know her, but my mother told me that she had insanely bad morning sickness with all of her pregnancies, and the doctor tried to give her thalidomide for it.
Yep.
And she refused it and just suffered because she heard.
Bless her, good lady.
She heard about all of the horrible defects that it caused.
So this was late in thalidomide's life. If he was trying to prescribe it for her, because as soon as they connected it back to thalidomide, they realized that they had to get it off the market.
Yeah.
And you couldn't find the stuff even for research. But yeah, thalidomide was a drug that came out for youngsters out there. A drug that came out in, I think, the early 60s, 1960s. Maybe it was the late 50s. And it was to give women relief from morning sickness and also to act as an anxiolytic. In other words, it calmed anxiety to a certain
Yeah.
extent. And physicians prescribed thalidomide, which was billed as being, safe and effective and all that kind of stuff. Well, it turned out that it caused hideous birth defects. The birth defects that it caused were essentially the babies were born without limbs. They were
Yeah.
born with hands and feet, misshapen hands and feet that protruded directly out of their shoulders and hips. So there were
Yeah.
no limbs attaching the hands. And people referred to them because of the appearance of them as flipper babies. Sometimes the fingers would be joined together and they would actually look like flippers on a marine mammal.
Mhm.
And the I'm trying to think of who was it that produced thalidomide. Thalidomide was produced by, I'm going to tell you who it was, the um, and thalidomide is used, by the way, today, is still used as a drug. It is used to treat multiple myeloma, and it also treats a kind of leprosy, and it is actually quite effective against the leprosy.
Oh.
And I remembered that. Um, but yeah, it's used as a first line treatment in multiple myeloma. Uh, with and of course myeloma is usually a fast growing, deadly cancer.
Yeah.
So it's odd that it's saving lives. But I'm trying to find um, who produced it. History. It was Grunenthal GmbH. They were a soap maker. I thought that it ended up that they got bought as a result of thalidomide, and the U.S. FDA refused to approve thalidomide for marketing and distribution. However, the drug was distributed in large quantities for testing purposes after the American distributor and manufacturer, which was Richardson Merrill, which became Merrill Pharmaceuticals, had applied for its approval in September of 1960. So that was roughly when that happened. And, Merrill was probably not aware that there was, this kind of a problem with that. But it just ruined these children. The children would be born. I'm looking at a picture of one baby that was born with 3, 6, 7 toes on each foot, and it horribly misshapen, and just terrible, terrible problems with their limbs, especially. Very, very sad. Very, very sad story. Um, the I don't know where I was going with all this. Well, anyway, so thalidomide provides a case in point of why we need to be careful with this kind of stuff. Thalidomide was a complete disaster because we weren't cautious enough with it.
Yeah.
A lot of adults and children's lives were ruined, really, truly ruined, because of, their mothers were, subject to bad morning sickness, and the doctor wanted to help them.
Yeah.
And everybody thought it was fine. And it turns out it is a very valuable chemical. It's a very valuable drug in treatment of cancer and some other things. But it has a desperately dangerous side effect for pregnant women. Must not be taken by pregnant women. Very sad story. Anyway, not to bum everybody out, that's why we want to be careful with CRISPR and gene editing, because causing defective and horribly mutated people is bad. Okay, so mutations are bad. Okay, and that's just the way it is. Anyway, what's going on in chat? I'm trying to discipline myself to read chat because I want to be more interactive with chat than I tend to be.
They had weird names back then. Flipper babies, refrigerator moms.
But that's absolutely true, Blind Girl. And let's see. Oh, Michael
Michelle,
Frank
you're doing paperwork.
Michelle is saying, just listening while I sort paperwork for my trip to USA and what I need to do so she can live with me.
His girlfriend.
His girlfriend.
She's moving to Belgium.
So she's moving. So he's
Michelle, going to visit her, I think.
Is coming to visit in the United States. And then the poor girl is moving to Belgium.
Apparently.
I know something about this. Do you like rain? Do you like rain? Do you like rain, Bobby? It rains a lot. It rains about 220 days a year in Brussels, just so you know. Okay, that's 20 more days than Seattle. That's rainier than Seattle. It's a shit of rain. It's every freaking day. And just so you know, you will not see blue sky, okay, from September until June. There is no blue sky. There is no blue sky.
At least there's blue sky in the wintertime sometimes.
Yeah, there was a patch of blue in 1938 over part of Gand, and that was the last time there was any blue sky during the winter in Belgium. It was just for like 15 seconds. Somebody noticed it. Of course, I'm overstating and being silly, but the thing about Belgium. Here's the thing about Belgium.
Oh, Holland, not Belgium. Oops.
Oh, Holland. Okay. Well, Holland is Belgium. It's not really, but they're very close to one another. They share a common border, and the northern part of Belgium and the southwestern part of Holland are practically the same thing. And it rains a lot there. You get a lot of North Sea rain there.
Michelle, that's awesome. I hope she says yes. I really do.
Michelle says, I'm legally blind, see no sky anyway. Blind Girl says, rain versus snow, I'll take rain. And yep. Let's see, where you let's see, in short, I'm going to visit USA for asking her hand in marriage, and then she'll come and live in Holland. Excellent. Congratulations. I just love to hear that. I'm just a big slobbering Italian romantic guy, and I love to hear that kind of stuff. I think it's wonderful. My friend Jesse the Fennec Fox says only semi-good mutations are like X-Men. Yes. Yeah, I wouldn't mind having that kind of a mutation, where I could fly or be invulnerable or kill people with fire. I mean, it would change my driving habits. Somebody cuts me off, they're done. Probably best not to trust me with that sort of power. With great power comes great responsibility, and I'm about as irresponsible as they get. But let's see. Jessie says she lives in a part of New York. Winter can be 60% rain and 40% snow. Yeah.
100% wet.
Yep. I know the part where Jessie lives. It's actually I think upstate New York is beautiful, though. I think there's a lot of beauty. People think of New York as being just New York City, but it's a big honking state. People don't realize how big a state it is, and a lot of it is really beautiful. It has beautiful scenery, but it does get a lot of rain in some parts of it. They get a lot of snow in some places, that lake effect snow.
Yeah.
I was up in Rochester, New York. I was on a consulting gig to help the Kodak scanner company design new scanners. Yeah, this was back in about 1998, and they flew us up there. We were considered to be great authorities on scanning technology, and so we were looking at the new engineering designs they were proposing and so forth, and giving them some input about that. And I got to stay up there for a couple of weeks. And let me tell you something about Rochester, New York, in the winter. It's freaking cold. I mean, if Canada's north of that, I don't even. Really. That was amazingly cold. And the other thing was, it snowed every day, every single day that we were up there. I mean, it snowed for 2 weeks solid. It was like 3 feet of snow on the ground. And they said,
Yeah.
"Oh, it's lake effect snow." Okay.
Sounds about right.
And it's big, wet, sloppy snow. And although, and then it freezes to this kind of ice crust. It was interesting. I was so happy when I got on the plane.
Then when you walk in it, you make giant foot-sized holes, and you can get stuck right up to your ankles.
Lovely.
Sometimes right up to your calves.
Oh yeah,
I've had that happen to me a couple of times.
Yep.
When you get the big wet snow and then it freezes.
Yes, and you fall through the crust.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly what you're talking about. So that was nice to get back to Texas.
I would imagine so. And I'm a Canadian, but I flip and hate winter. I really do.
How can you stand living up there?
Well, it's mostly the reason I hate winter is I'm just not into the cold, but it's also because I hate snow travel. Like as a blind person, snow travel is just
that sucks.
Fucking hard. I'm like but the reason I live up here is just because honestly I can't afford to move anywhere else. But no, I've got like Alex loves the snow. He's one of those he loves winter. Me and Pincalo both hate snow.
Well, he's a truck driver.
Yeah, he's a courier.
Oh, he's a courier. Okay.
Yeah.
We call them truck drivers down here, but courier. Okay. So but yeah, he's gonna hate snow because driving in snow sucks. It sucks to be you if you have to drive in snow. It just does. It's dangerous. It's slippery. Other people don't know how to drive. They bump into you.
Oh, he hates dealing with winter driving because people are just stupid. They don't know how to drive, and it's the first snowfall of the year. It's everyone forgets how to drive. Everyone. It's ridiculous. And then you get the dumbasses in the spring who go, "Oh, look, all the snow is melted. I'm going to take my winter tires off in like the beginning of April." And then there's like 2 or 3 more snowstorms and everyone's sliding around and crashing into each other. Like if you're smart in Canada, you're going to leave your tires on until the end of April.
Okay, so you use snow tires up there.
Oh yeah. Sometimes if you've got really good all-season tires, you can use those.
Yeah.
But especially if you live in like northern Ontario or like northern Quebec or like any of because where we live, we don't really get as much snow as is possible. So you're gonna want tires that grip really well.
Yeah. Do they make them out of the walnut? I'm serious. that
No,
black walnut shells are used in snow tires. I'm not joking.
yes, they might do. I don't know what they use to make the snow tires, but I know Pincalo. And I'm pretty sure Pincalo gets snow tires just because he has to do country driving too. So he just wants to make sure he doesn't slide anywhere. But um, yeah, you're gonna want to keep. What you're gonna want to do is you're either gonna want to have your all seasons or snow tires in the winter, and then you can want to put summer tires on in the summer because it can still get really freaking hot depending on where you are.
By the way, Winter Technologies, Toyo tires in Canada, walnut shells are one of the hardest natural substances in the world. That's why Toyo tires developed microbit technology, which incorporates thousands of crushed walnut shells into the tread compound of, and then they get various models of their snow tires, their high performance winter tires. These walnut shells act as tiny little spikes that dig into ice and compacted snow, providing added traction, especially during harsh winter driving conditions.
Nico says, "It's Canada. Do you ever take your winter tires off?" Yes, 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 yes. Because when it gets to be summer, it gets as hot as it does cold. Especially in southern Ontario, because we're basically surrounded by the lakes, right? So it is humid as fuck, and uh it gets to about I'm trying to do a calculation in my head here. Over 100 Fahrenheit with humidity quite often. Um,
In
in
in what city are you talking about?
in most of southern Ontario.
Nuh-uh.
In the summertime,
Really?
we get regularly 30 plus Celsius.
Get out of town. I did not know that. I
It's
did not
gone
know
into
that at
the
all.
40s with humidex. Um, so it
And
can
this is
be,
the Ontario in Canada.
yeah, it can be
Okay. That
brutally
Ontario.
hot, brutally hot.
All right. Well, let me figure out where you are. You're basically around the Toronto type area. Is that
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Okay. Are you on the London side or the Cape
yes, I'm on
side?
the London side.
You're on the London side. So you basically have the same weather as Detroit.
Yeah,
Um, and Detroit tends to, and I say this, I lived in Ann Arbor for 5 years. Detroit essentially, um, it gets up close to 100 many times. You
yeah,
tend to have a lot of days in the 90s
yeah,
in Detroit. Not so much over 100 because, the Detroit River and the lake and all that
yeah,
stuff tend to keep it a bit cooled off. But you're a little bit inland. I could see
yeah.
that. I could see where you are. Like, are where
Where I am
403 and
is
401 come together?
yeah, where we are is a valley. So
Okay.
all of the humidity in the summer just
Yeah.
falls down on us.
But I was trying to just to figure out how far away from ocean you are. Are you anywhere near where 401 and 403 come together?
403. 403 is, I think we're a little east of that.
You're a little bit east of that on 403. So are you around Princeton, Etonia, Falkland, any of those places?
We're closer to Stratford.
Stratford. Okay. Um, uh, St. George.
Where the Shakespearean Festival is.
Brantford. Are you anywhere near Brantford?
Yes.
Okay, so you're near Brantford. All right, so let me take a look at that. You're actually So like probably between Hamilton and Brantford.
Yeah,
Around
Hamilton's where the mountain is, or the escarpment is, and then
Oh, I see that.
you go down the hill, and then
Yeah.
it's a
I see that on 403. Yeah, okay. All right. And so you actually are quite near Lake Ontario.
Yes, we are.
And so you're not too far from Niagara Falls either.
No,
For
about
that
an
matter.
hour drive from Niagara Falls.
Okay.
Maybe two.
You're near enough to water. I wouldn't think you get over 100.
It's what's the conversion between
What you do is you take 9 in order to convert centigrade to or Celsius rather to Fahrenheit. You take 9/5, so you multiply by 9, then divide by 5. That's easy to do in your head.
Yeah.
And then add 32. Okay.
Okay.
Or you can go to Google and type in Celsius converter, Celsius to Fahrenheit. Okay. And so in Celsius, let's say about 33 or 34. 34 is 93 degrees in Fahrenheit.
Yeah, blind girl says that it's true. It does get over 100. She's from Ottawa. Oh yeah, Ottawa gets hot.
By the way, 100 is 38 degrees.
Oh yeah,
38
it easily gets 38 here.
So you get 38 there, really?
Easily.
Wow.
Rolling. Goatman says I live in Vancouver and it gets to be 434 C, so that's about 93, and they're right by that. They're right by the Pacific.
Yeah, that's 93.2 if my math is correct.
So yeah, it gets, and that's without humidity. It can get, like, there are days where it's like, don't go outside. Like the news will actually say there's a humidex warning. There's a humidity warning.
Yeah.
Stay inside.
You know, when I came back from Belgium as a kid to the United States, and my teachers were aghast that I could not figure out Fahrenheit. They said, "What is your problem?" And it was interesting. What my elementary school teachers did not even, or my 7th grade teacher, my junior high school teacher, did not know what the formula was to convert Celsius to Fahrenheit.
Oh.
And I looked it up in the encyclopedia. It was easy enough to find, and I was down with that. Found it, and I began doing it, and I began doing the conversion in my head, and it started me on a lifetime of doing easy math problems in my head. I'm pretty good at that. And I had been converting. My dad used to torture me and make me convert kilometers to miles in my head to get me ready to come back to the United States. He thought that was preparing me, but we never did it with temperature. We never talked about that. It's only miles because we traveled all over Europe when we were over there. And I'd say, okay, 33 kilometers to, whatever. That's 14 miles or what. And I would have to do it in my head and do it quickly. You would demand that I do it quickly. But it was good. It gave me a little bit of mental discipline.
Kilometers about half a mile, right?
Yeah, it's 5/8 of a mile. So you multiply by 8 and then divide by 5. Easy peasy. And yeah, I mean, Canada is a dream come true, except for the cold. And in fact, I was about to say that about Belgium. Belgium is kind of a dream come true, except for the rain. Okay, and now I understand the traffic in Brussels is just unbelievable. But the rain in Belgium is what is just you just get tired of it. You just want to go to a place that's sunny. And but the good news is that the trees there are like no other trees in the world. They get a lot of rain and they use it all.
Yeah.
They have these big chestnut trees. These chestnut trees are like 5 feet thick. They're just amazing. They're just phenomenal. The trees are huge. I used to love the forested areas of Belgium, the Ardennes, that forest, the Bois. I can't remember what, just south of Gand. We used to go and for picnics, little family picnics. On Saturday afternoon, we drive up to some of these places, and the forests are just amazing. You can just imagine elves and little people and leprechauns and stuff living in places like that. It was just a magical place to kind of
You should
grow
see
up
some
when
of
it
the
wasn't raining.
forests. You should see some of the forests up in northern Ontario.
Oh, I've looked on Google Earth. It, yeah, man, Canada has some beautiful, beautiful areas. I took that virtual trip on, you basically take it with, with your computer on the coast to coast Canadian Railway.
Yeah.
That is just, Canada's beautiful. Note to self, it's just one of the most beautiful places on earth.
Yeah, if you don't like the cold and you want to visit Canada, do it in the summer because
Yeah,
you can experience all the beauty of it and not the freezing.
yeah, except at night.
No, it's pretty nice at night. It's you can have some great nights where it's after the oppressive humidity. It's just a nice, like it goes down to about 24 Celsius.
Really? So
Um,
it actually retains some heat.
oh yeah,
It,
and you
that's
can
good to
sit
know.
down like at our cottage. It's nice. Like usually we're wearing long sleeves just because the bugs are bad. Um,
Yeah.
but you don't need to wear them because it's cold. You need to wear them so you don't get bit.
Right. Right.
And you just sit at the fire and roast marshmallows. And we make we call them Gorilla Dogs. We've got these cast iron things where you can put some hot dogs in them,
Uh huh.
and we wrap the hot dogs in like cheese and bacon, and sometimes we put onions in them, and you put bread
That
around
sounds
them,
wonderful.
and you squish them into these cast iron things, and you stick them
Yeah.
in the fire, and it's
Excellent.
so freaking good.
Oh yeah. That's comfort food. It's wonderful. See, what is Neko says? I like cold weather because it kills bugs. I'm with Neko.
Yeah.
That's the good news with cold weather. It's I like that. Goatman says anything over 20 Celsius. I hate you would not like Texas in the summer.
Yeah, Pink
Mm.
Hollow's the same way. He likes it about 15 degrees to 20 degrees Celsius.
So he likes a little bit cooler.
Yeah. Well, he's a giant fur ball, right? So
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
he gets very hot very quickly.
I understand. I understand. See, Jesse says the Pine Barrens, various areas and state parks, are paradise here. It and update. I think she meant upstate.
Upstate, yeah.
Make you forget the suburbs. Absolutely, I'm with you, Jesse. It's the the Pine Barrens are in New Jersey, right? I thought they were. I thought the Barrens were in New Jersey, but maybe they're in both in New York and New Jersey. Hmm. Anyway, let's see. Zombie Teddy asks, Blind Press, what tactile sensation do you associate with hot and cold? For example, I associate cold with smooth surfaces.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so do you have some
Um,
touch associations for like hot and cold and
I would I associate actually that's kind of funny because now that I think about it, I associate cold with a hard, smooth surface as well. Like
how
a
about
cold
hot?
metal table
Right.
or something like that. Hot? I honestly, probably because I'm such a nerd and I think about space all the time, the minute I think of hot, I think of a star.
Right.
And not like, oh, the sun is hot on my face. I mean, like, a star, like a
Yeah.
ball of gas burning at millions of degrees Kelvin.
Yeah. No. Now, remember, when you say Kelvin, you don't say degrees. You say kelvins.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. You say
so all of
kelvins.
the physicists and stuff I've been listening to are wrong.
A lot of them use Kelvin like it is just another uh, uh, temperature gauge, but it's not. It has some, and the reason that they do it is just for understandability because
Right.
they know they notice it. You know what Kelvin means, and you know about uh, removing energy transfer, and so forth. It's a measure of energy transfer. They know what it is and how to use it properly. But I just felt like the need to assert my chemistry minor for a moment and just get it out there that Kelvin is a different thing. Kelvin is a fascinating thing. Everybody should check it out on Wikipedia. There's a good write up on it. And let's see. What are the things? We never got to politics today. We've already run over an hour, and we haven't even got to politics yet. We've just been having a loosey goosey fun time talking about anything and everything. But I do have a couple of things.
Okay.
If you
I was
want
gonna
to,
say,
if I can find whatever browser I have them open in.
I usually go till 11:30.
11:30. Okay.
So, um,
See, blind and I have really got this planned out.
well, I figured the first show with you as a co-host that we would like just like have us kind of do something a little bit like this, maybe introduce you and introduce our dynamic more. Um,
Yeah.
and then like because I don't have any guests planned for this week,
Yeah.
so maybe we can cover more of the stuff that we didn't cover.
Well, God knows I am such a blabbermouth. I can cover any amount of time you want to have. You know, the big thing, your challenge is going to be controlling the wild spewing blabbermouth in from Texas, and because I can, I can just talk and talk, and talk about the guy who can make something out of nothing. That is just like me to a T. It's sad to say, but it's just absolutely true. Let's see. What I did have something. Let's see. Was it in Firefox? Was it? Where was it? It's so irritating. That I had some stuff about Michael Avenatti. I remember
Oh yes.
my eidetic memory is going to town, so I can probably recite most of the points in the article verbatim. Anyway, even if I can't find it, I'm just but irritated that I cannot find the. No, I don't want that one. Do I want that one? Maybe. Yeah, okay. That one. Oh, that's the one. That's the one that I want. Okay, all right. Let's see. This was the okay, that all right. Hold on just a second. Michael M-I-C-H. Avenatti. All right. Yeah, this is the thing that I wanted. Michael Avenatti settles alimony, child support with ex-wife, will hand over Ferrari and private jet.
Oh, poor Muffet.
I hate it when that happens.
Private fucking jet. Fuck
He's
off.
he's pretty pissed. Michael Avenatti will have to fly commercial for the foreseeable future. The celebrity lawyer and his estranged wife, Lisa Story Avenatti, have settled their messy child and spousal support battle, TMZ reported Wednesday. The agreement includes forking over the company plane. Avenatti reportedly agreed to cut a $40,000 check to his ex for child support and another in January, a stark departure from the previous figures that added up to almost $2 million. So that's a monthly check to her,
$40,000 a month.
That's child support. Okay. And
what the fuck is she buying her child that is $40,000 a month?
It's keeping the child. I know because I went through this. It's keeping the child supported in a way that it has become accustomed to being supported. And like when, I went through some changes in my job, and I ended up having to cash my pension plan in order just to pay my child support because I had been previously making more at a job. And so when I was making less at a job, I had to make up all that difference in order, from my check. And I didn't have enough to live on. I literally did not have enough to live on. I was making $140,000 a year, and I could not afford rent on an apartment.
Wow.
So I had to, that's why I don't have a really nice retirement, or kind of a semi-wealthy retirement, because that all got dismantled and handed over to my ex-wife. And she bought a Mercedes with it. Oddly enough, when she was spending it on the children, of course. She bought a Mercedes and a lake home.
That's what gets me when I hear it's supporting the child as they're accustomed to. I think it's more supporting the wife as she's accustomed.
Oh, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. And then so it supports the child as they're accustomed, because then mommy's not yelling at them because she doesn't have money anymore.
Now that said, I'm proud to have, first of all, to have made it to the point where my youngest was 13 years old. I sucked it up for a lot of years, just staying with the person I was married to, because she was a very difficult person to stay married to. I wasn't perfect myself, but it was a really bad situation. I hung in there for the kids as long as I could until we just began to destroy each other and couldn't keep it under control. And, we had to get away from each other. And we did. But it was devastatingly expensive. And it's a tribute that she sucked that much value out of me in 5 years.
Wow.
Basically. Yeah. And both my kids are, self-supporting. I don't have to support them. They are out there, doing very well. And I'm proud of both of them. They ended up, first-rate people. But it was difficult and very frustrating for a long time. A lot of bitterness in that period of time. Judges don't realize what that does. And
no, they don't.
And she was just in a revenge mode. She just wanted to hurt me because things hadn't worked out. And it's one of those things. But anyway, the difference for Avenatti will come in the form of assets, according to TMZ, including 5 luxury wristwatches. Luxury wristwatch.
Why do you need 5?
His 2017 Ferrari 488 GT Spider, and his law firm's share of a 2016 Honda private jet. So he owns a share of a jet. And so forth.
Why does the ex-wife need a share of a jet?
Yeah, it's worth something. She can sell that share of a jet, and she'd be smart to do that.
I was going to say, is she going to use it?
No, she should sell that. There's much more utility in what a share of a jet would be worth, and or she can take it as a instead of her using the jet, she can say the jet can hire out, and she gets a portion of the what the jet returns in hire out money, and that can be some really, really amazing money, because you're hiring your jet out to people for whom money just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And you can charge whatever the traffic will bear. So it's kind of turns into the, well, anyway, I love the market. It's immoral for a fool to remain at one with their money, in my opinion. And the market it's the only moral thing that a market does, is separating fools from their money. But,
see, I'm glad Abhinavi has to like pay his child support and stuff.
yeah, because
right?
he's a thoroughly disgusting human being.
But at the same time, like cases like this always give me kind of a bad taste in my mouth, because
Sure.
I just like I was a part of I was the child in a child support case that my stepmother forced to go on for years and years and years because she was unhappy with what my father was paying.
Yeah.
Dad very faithfully paid child support every month. He never was in arrears. And on top of that, he always paid for half of any extracurricular activity I did. My stepmom was very unhappy about the amount of money that was. So she was constantly calling into question the custody agreement, the child support agreement, all that shit. My mother on several occasions, made me ask Dad for the child support checks.
That's kind of unfair.
Whenever I hear child support cases that are like messy, and then I hear of like huge amounts of child support, I just start wondering like how much of that is actually going to the child. Like it kind of like, I understand that wealthier people have a more expensive lifestyle, but that's like, what does a child need that's $40,000 a month? Seriously.
Yeah. It's sometimes the law is an ass, as Dickens said in is that Bleak House? Where does it, or is it Copperfield, where he says the law is an ass? It doesn't say an ass. He says the law is, then sir, the law is a ass. The law ass.
I like Dickens. I think David Copperfield is my favorite.
It's in fact, the law is an ass. Okay, but the law is an ass, an idiot. Law supposes that it's Mr. Bumble, and it's no, it's Oliver Twist.
Oh, okay.
It's Oliver Twist.
That's why.
Yes.
Because he writes like his character's accents. Like, I've noticed Dickens will write, if his character has a Cockney accent,
yes,
Dickens will write with missing letters or
governor.
Yeah,
and glottal stops.
Yeah.
Typical of the Cockney accent. That's very true. He I'm going to say
he did it in Great Expectations as well.
Yes, and Great Expectations was written as a magazine serial.
Yes, it was.
And which is kind of a cool story.
It's a huge ass book when it's put all together. You should see it in Braille. It's ginormous.
Oh man, I can't even imagine, because it is a long book. I think it's longer than Oliver Twist or Copperfield.
It is. And Copperfield's pretty damn long.
You know what his longest book is? The always entertaining Bleak House.
I haven't read that one.
It's kind of one of those things. It's so uplifting, you want to just open a vein, just end your life.
Well, it is called Bleak House.
It is so depressing. it's so miserably depressing. And I suffered through that in college, and I love Dickens. I love Oliver Twist. I love David Copperfield, and but my very favorite book was Great Expectations. And,
I wrote a paper on it in high school, and then for the first half of the book, I hated the book. I hated Pip.
You hated Pip, right? I can see that.
I thought Pip was a piece of shit. Like, I'm like, I don't care how his childhood was. Pip is an asshole.
Right.
You know,
right,
like for the first half of the book, I was like, fuck Pip. Fuck him.
Yep.
Right now, I hate this bastard.
What did it turn on? What was your pivot point with Pip?
I think my pivot point was when he got set up, when he got burned.
Yes.
And
you saw him in pain.
You saw him in pain, and then you saw him like when he went and like I was starting to get, you know, more and more sympathetic towards him as the book went on, especially with like the whole Estella thing.
Yes.
And then
did you start to hate her?
Oh God, I hated her from the very beginning. She
Yes.
was the only one I hated more than Pip.
That's exactly. I was going to say, man, I hated Estella with a fire hate. I really truly did. I just thought she was evil.
And Miss Havisham was just fucking psychotic.
Yeah, I thought she was a bad person. Then I realized she was just crazy.
Yeah, she was absolutely insane.
Yep. So here we are. This is what I love about you is I can talk about Oliver Twist with you, or Great Expectations with you, and you know what I'm talking about. That's great. Mr. Bumble.
Well, I've got 11:26. So if chat wants to say anything to us in the last,
speak now or peace you forever hold.
Yes. Speak to us now or wait till tomorrow.
Exactly. We'll be back tomorrow. If Blind Press doesn't fire me. No, this has been so much fun. What a great initial co-hosting adventure this has been.
I agree.
At least it's felt like fun to me. I shamelessly enjoy myself.
I'm just glad that I've got somebody to bounce ideas off of, because like I never didn't enjoy doing the streams, but it was hard to try and keep going.
Yes,
for an hour and a half by myself.
And you and I and people who have followed Blinds in my careers on as streamers for a while know this about both of us. You know, when I was hosting Minions and I realized, you know, there were just a couple of people I had, you know, this cool kind of relationship with, where we would have ideas that would develop and continue to develop these really dynamic conversations. You know, with you, Prospero's another one. You know, there's just a couple more, and they're the regulars on my show on Minions. I'll show that Wednesday night host, Skep, 10:30 Central Time. You and I had this kind of, you know, nice, easy back and forth that I always thought, you know, if we ever wanted to do like a 2-person show, and that was what I was thinking about doing, was doing the 2-person show on Minions, just having you only on, and just as an experiment. And I never did it because, you know, people are, you know, usually contacting me and want to be on, or, you know, they indicate that they want to be on, and you know, didn't want to keep them off the show, because that's very much a community, participation show.
Yeah.
And but this show is, has a different character, and it might offer us, a chance to see where that idea of bouncing things goes, between you and me, because we always uh, both enjoy that, I think.
Hmm.
And you just never know where the idea is going to lead. So for my part, I enjoy it thoroughly, and I've had a great first day here. Thank you so much, and thank you again for the opportunity. I know, this is your show, and it's your deal, and for you to allow me to come into something like this, it's really wonderful, and I want to thank you.
Well, Michelle says that this sounds good, and it's indeed a good way to move forward. So I
Oh,
think the chat enjoyed.
merci
Uh,
beaucoup, monsieur.
I think the chat enjoyed our show, and I do hope that we can continue to bring more goodness to you guys.
Absolument. We will be doing this again this time tomorrow, and
Absolutely.
be there or be square, because we will, and we'll be having some fun. And of course, there will be more strangeness and stupidity in the world, and we will be
Absolutely.
there to make fun of it.
Yep.
And hope we can welcome you back then. So
Thank you guys for coming out. We'll see you guys tomorrow, same time, same place. Have a great day, everyone, and stay safe out there. Have a nice day. Bye, guys.
be careful out there, my friends. Bye bye.